one of the sort of the greatest challenges that we're immediately facing is that of understanding and awareness in the transition from the end of the space shuttle program to what's next. We see, in a sense, a vacuum of understanding of what's evolving in the way of the transition. And one of the challenges that we're trying to address with the space community on behalf of the National Space Society is how we articulate that what we're in a state of extraordinary transition, if you will. When you look at what is actually being done, there are more rockets being built or under development now than there has been for a very, very long time. The things that are actually being built, okay, are really quite extraordinary. It is not, and it isn't just one piece or one focus. It is the opportunity vectors, if you will, are both in the world of science, in the world of personal space flight, in the world of how it is that we transform doing business. The idea that you can transition to a world where you can buy transportation services to low Earth orbit, and we're in earnest in engaging in looking at how it is that we can go beyond that. It's this year's ISDC, we had a number of extraordinary things come to pass. They're ranging from Jeff Grayson's talk on twist on space policy, and an affirmation of the notion that the human settlement of space, whether or not you fess up to it in some explicit sense, or you arrive at it through a more convoluted understanding, that's where we're going with our civilization, our expansion, if you will, into the solar system and beyond. We're faced now with a number of, in a sense, extraordinary choices. Within the NASA authorization of 2010, you had shall we say, a collection of hyperbole, if you will, and a collection of clearly actionable requirements, levied upon NASA as an agency. Key amongst those is that NASA was charged with going through and characterizing a flight system development project to yield a mission-enabling, sustainable, and affordable to use heavy lift launch capability. That they're charged with going and figuring out what can actually be done that can meet those driving requirements. NASA had a choice. They could have come back and been largely a political creature and just say, yes sir, yes ma'am, we'll go charge, okay, and do what they will with it. But that isn't what happened. They came back and provided an engineering answer that they did not know how to make the totality of what was asked for in terms of the congressional intent work. Okay, that the engineering question that was actually actionable in the authorization was the right questions to be asked, and they wanted to actually answer it as an engineering problem and have set about doing so. And they explained that there was no easy answers, and that what they would be returning with may not make everybody happy. Actually wouldn't make everybody happy, but there was but it would be what they felt could really be done. And that's for why ever it came to pass. Okay, we have to acknowledge that people can do things, and organizations of people can do things for many, many different reasons. Rational things are happening. And, there's lots of folks that would argue, oh, how can the government go and do anything that makes sense economically or rationally? Are we talking about oxymorons here? And actually what's extraordinary is, I would argue the answer is no. If you actually work these things as an engineering problem, and this is something that was drawn out at the Flight System Driving Requirements Forum at the International Space Development Conference this year. We had the director of the Space Launch System program from NASA headquarters. We had the program manager from the Marshall Space Flight Center, and we had the lead systems engineer. All of them offered their own particular perspectives on things, but and it proved accessible, if you will, to a number of different audiences. But the most extraordinary part of the discussion was when it got down to the systems engineer. He started talking about what they were actually doing, what they felt confident in, and where they were having problems, and what was actually involved in trying to figure out what mission enabling meant, what sustainable meant, and what affordable meant. Okay, strangely enough, this is the way it's supposed to be done. The world of how one runs an industry day, isn't supposed to be NASA getting up there and presenting the schedule charts and explaining that the procurement's on track and that they've got it all figured out. What it is that, they're supposed to be able to come forward and say, this is what we don't understand. This is what we're in trouble on. This is what we need help with. Okay? And what can you, other members of the space community, the commercial firms, what expertise can you lend? Okay, what insight can you offer to help us work these series of critical problems that are the basis of what we have to solve in order to make this work? So, pick the venue of interest, from suborbital flight opportunities through a host of New Horizons science missions that'll fly in the next few years, and the world of the International Space Station, which in and of itself is an extraordinary undertaking that we've been able to learn how to put it together and live and work in the space environment. But the key thing with respect to the space station that was the juice of making it worthwhile is actually using it, okay, to be able to move forward. These are the opportunities before us. And what we want to be able to do with the National Space Society to try and promote this discussion is we want to help support and draw out the narrative of the new stories going forward. In a visual sense, we want to be able to articulate the poster that's on every college student's wall that can look at it and say, okay, I can see how I can fit into the puzzle, how I can engage and be a part of making this happen. Well, it's the narrative that I was down at the last space shuttle launch, and I had folks both from the Apollo era and the space shuttle era coming forward saying, there's the questions of how do we engage, and what is the narrative rolling forward that is fundamentally has been missing from the equation. How we draw that out. I know Richard Garriott and I have had realized at a certain point at a convention that what we were really engaging in was an exercise in modern day storytelling. That is, in large measure as a species, it's the notion of storytelling is how we inculcate the next generation into the mores, the insight, how we figured out how to engage as human beings. That's how we transfer that information, if you will.